Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2003 Mitsubishi Eclipse GS. Up front is a 2.4 liter inline 4, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Mitsubishi Eclipse for two reasons. First of all, it's been several years since I've reviewed an Eclipse, so it's always exciting to get back into this generation, my favorite generation of Eclipse, if I'm honest. But the second reason is the fact that this only has 58,000 miles on it, so it is a pretty good example of what this car was like all those years ago. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Last but not least, huge thank you to Napleton Subaru in Schaumburg for letting me borrow the Eclipse in today's video. More on them towards the end of the video, but if you'd like to browse their inventory, you can do so down in the description below. But let's get back to that 2.4 liter inline 4 under the hood. Well, this was the base engine offered here in the Eclipse. You could either get this 2.4 liter or you could get a 3.0 liter V6 that made a lot more power. So this makes 147 horsepower, where the V6 made about 210. Now, just because this is the 4-cylinder doesn't mean it's a complete slouch. However, you are going to be lacking in the performance department just a little bit. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it definitely is down on power compared to the V6. Now, like I said, paired to it is an automatic transmission. Again, you could find these in manual, and that is the way to go. So this particular drivetrain is really the least desirable drivetrain. However, the auto's fine, it does the job, and I don't have any complaints, and we'll talk about that towards the end of the video. Last but not least, of course, the Eclipse is front-wheel drive. This generation didn't get all-wheel drive like the previous gens did. How does it feel to drive the Eclipse? Well, it's actually a relatively nice experience. It is on more of the economy car side. You're probably getting a lot of road noise through the camera and microphone right now. But this lane of car was very interesting, and that'll be my final thoughts. But visibility is fine out the front. The back isn't great. Ride quality isn't wonderful either, but it's a really simple little sporty coupe, and that's all you really wanted out of a car like this. Here we go. Yeah, not winning many races with that one, but it gets up and goes. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is fuel. In the center is the speedometer and tachometer, and off to the right is the coolant temperature. We do get an airbag in the steering wheel, of course, as legally required, and a cruise control stalk, but that's it. And off to the left, we have a climate control vent and our gauge dimmer switch. And that's it. Moving on to the door, we have the latch to get in and out. We have a little style piece on the door that has definitely seen better days. And we have our power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we do get a little digital clock up on the dash. Love to see that. We get our hazard switch and 2 climate vents. We get a radio with a CD player. It says Mitsubishi Motors on it as well. Love to see that. Love to see the original radio still kicking it here in the 03 Eclipse. And we have our climate controls. Extremely simple climate controls. Temperature off to the left, fan speed in the center, where to send it off to the right. We do get a cubby down below with a cigarette lighter and ashtray. We get some coin holders. We get the shifter that you can plus minus if you would like. And then we get a single cup holder, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test. Now, the big friggin' bottle doesn't sit flush at the bottom. However, it goes in deep enough to not fall over while driving. And so, because of that, the 03 Eclipse passes the big friggin' bottle test. Look at that. Then we do get a little center console that will reveal a second cup holder and the seats. The seats are cloth. The GS was a very basic trim level of the Eclipse, so we got the basic seats, no leather found here or anything like that. It's pretty uneventful. The seats themselves are comfortable enough, but again, not rewriting history with how amazing they might be. They're fine, and they do the job. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, getting in the back of the Eclipse. move it forward like that, and we don't have a whole lot of space to play with, but we're gonna try. Oh, ay, ay, ay. In the back of the 03 Eclipse, not great. My head is touching the rear window. I would imagine one pothole will probably knock me out. A second pothole will definitely send me to the hospital. So you got to kind of ride like this. Not really great. But there's no but. There's not really any amenities. I guess, okay, one but is that there is nice pattern back here, and the fact that this was owned by an older couple probably means that I'm one of the few people to actually ride back here. Maybe a random grandchild here or there, but overall, it's well kept. I mean, the seats look nice, but throw your backpack, throw your school bag, throw your groceries back here. I would not recommend throwing human beings back here. You shouldn't be throwing human beings just in general. But if you do, I would not recommend throwing them back here, if that makes any sense. Let's hop into the back. You can get a little preview of it there. Let's hop into the back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. So it might be kind of hard to see, but there actually is a keyhole in the passenger side tail light. Very, very interesting there. But pulling this up, as you can see, the struts are a little bit tired, but it is a hatchback. So somewhat practical, really, really like that. Once we are back here, we do get a caution. In accordance to federal law, the rear gate uses a 2-position latch. If the rear gate is not fully latched when closed, reopen the gate and close it with firm pressure and speed. Pressure and speed, the name of my autobiography. Once we are back here, nothing really too crazy. You do get a lot of space. This is a very nice amount of space for a sporty coupe. We do get a light over here, which is kind of nice. We can pull this up. Looks like we do get a spare tire, which is very nice to see as well. And some floor mats, things like that. You can also lower the back row of seats to add to your cargo space, and that would probably be the way that I would drive this car around. Extra cargo space, and you're not really using the back seats anyway. So we do have a handle right here. Pull this down, and there you go. That is the back of a Mitsubishi Eclipse. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I love the look of this generation of Eclipse. I'll be honest, probably a hefty chunk of that is my nostalgia, because I grew up around these. This was the generation that was in Fast and Furious. Well, Too Fast, Too Furious. The purple convertible, loved that. This was kind of a cool car, and my dad actually owned one of these for about 48 hours. He bought a Spider, a silver Spider, brought it home, drove around. He took me and my brother around in it. And then that night, my mom had a dream that it rolled over and killed us. So back to the dealership that car went. So let's get on to my final thoughts. I really like this generation of Eclipse. It has a very warm sense of nostalgia for me, especially because this was one of the starter cars in Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition. And I actually found a high 8 videotape of the screen of me playing Midnight Club from probably 2003 or 2004, whenever the game came out. This is real footage from when I was a child. This was the CRT TV that we had, all that stuff. That car meant a lot to me. I loved that car in the game, and so now driving one again, I love it. It's great. But there are some issues. There are some quality issues in here. As I mentioned with that door card, it's scraped up at only 58,000 miles. It was owned by an older couple. Stuff like that tends to happen. The motor has needed some work, again, at only 54,000 miles. I think I said 58 earlier. I meant only 54. Here's the odometer reading. I also really wanted to do this video just because this is such a well-kept example of a car that we don't really see much anymore. You don't really see these randomly in traffic, at least here in the Midwest. They're mostly rusted away. They were built here in Illinois. This is an Illinois native. Shout out Blono. But my ending feelings and thoughts on this are more in the general times of the early 2000s. Really, from the 80s through the 2000s, manufacturers would make coupes that weren't necessarily high-performance coupes, but this style of car was very, very popular. Front-wheel drive, two-door, sport adjacent. You know, these cars are sport E, light on the sport, heavy on the E. And what comes to mind is, of course, the Celica. The Honda Accord had a coupe version. Camry had a coupe version. Ford Escort coupe. You could even find the Cavalier in a coupe. People liked coupes back in the day, and I'm not totally sure the reason. I think part of it is the fact that there were a lot of coupes being offered. A lot of people like the look of coupes better. I personally don't, but a lot of people do. They have that sportier look, but they're not these hardcore cars. This is more of a Hyundai Tiburon competitor and not like a 350Z or Mazda RX-8 competitor. Those were hardcore track-ready cars, or at least track-friendly cars. These are a little bit softer, a little bit easier to live with, front-wheel drive, 4-cylinder, a little bit, duller around the edges. But this class of car was pretty big for 2 to 3 decades. And I think nowadays they don't sell as many coupes because cars are getting so expensive that if you're only going to own one car, you need that car to do everything all the time. Cars were more affordable back then, and so you could get away with, I'll get a cute little coupe for a few years and then I'll get the sedan. This was a youthful vehicle. The Eclipse had always been a youthful vehicle, and they had that look to it. They have that sporty feel, while this car itself isn't very sporty. And so now, looking back, I'm kind of mourning the loss of this class of car. I genuinely can't name you a front-wheel drive coupe that is sporty but not super dedicated. The Prelude is coming back. I will say that is like one car that would fit into this category here in 2026. But honestly, there's not much beyond that, and it seems like the Prelude is going to be a sales flop as it is. And so enjoy this low mileage, clean example of an Eclipse, but also join me in mourning a class of car that used to be pretty fun and didn't take itself so seriously. A very serious person does not buy a sporty, fun little coupe. A fun, serious, boring person doesn't buy an Eclipse. And so I think we're losing that a little bit. The personality that came with this car was something so special and fun. And so here it is, a 54,000-mile version of sporty and fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Napleton Subaru in Schaumburg for letting me borrow their Eclipse for today's video. They are absolutely wonderful. They always have cool and interesting vehicles on the lot. This is the flavor of the day, but if you're looking for a used vehicle or a brand new Subaru, please go check out Napleton Subaru in Schaumburg. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.